Well, welcome Cyclones. Thank you so much for tuning in to a special conversation here as we have a conversation with Iowa State head gymnastics coach Ashley Miles Greig. Coach, you're in your second year here at Iowa State. How did the first year go? We'll talk about this in just a little bit. This is your first head coaching job, but tell us how that first year as a head coach went.
It's been amazing. It has gone lightning speed fast, and it's just been all like wins, excitements, adjustments, changes, learning new things, just building and really just continuing the goal of a trajectory this way, right, to create a championship caliber program for gymnastics here at Iowa State. So it's been great. Really
exciting. And tell us about how that first season went, how you guys finished that first year here at Iowa State.
Yeah, we made lots of history. An attendance record for program for just a single gymnastics meet versus Iowa. We jumped 15 spots in the rankings, which is not normal for this sport, if I will say, especially for a sport like gymnastics where there's like a big change in like the staff, and we had to do a lot of things, changing the culture and just kind of how we approach things. Elevating our standard was a big part of it, building those relationships with the student athletes, and we ended the season ranked 29th in the country and got back to the NCAA tournament round 2. So it was a whirlwind, and we're looking to continue to build off of that.
And you're looking forward to getting back there this year, I'm sure. So, Coach, I know you were an accomplished gymnast as a collegiate athlete at Alabama. So I was on YouTube the other day. Okay, I know you probably know where I'm going with this, but in the NCAA championship, you had a perfect floor routine. Mm-hmm. Tell us about that moment and just your collegiate career.
Yeah, I mean, I'm one of those student athletes and people that's lucky enough to have so many of those like memorable moments. Worked really hard in this sport just to grow and to, hone in on like talent, and just to have the opportunity to experience that at a college level where gymnastics is so much fun and it's so much more team oriented was amazing. I mean, every single 10 I scored, like I remember, and they're not easy to come by. So when you get them, like, you savor it.
That's right. And you were a 4-time champion at the collegiate level too. It's a big accomplishment. I know your goal is probably as a head coach here is to get your athletes into that same position as you are, and you have that experience. Let's step back too. So before you came to Iowa State, you have a little bit of an unorthodox journey to becoming a head coach, especially at this level. Talk about your background prior to coming to Iowa State and kind of the things you did after you graduated from Alabama and after you were a student athlete to where you are now.
Yeah. So a very unique pathway, just like you said, like not normal, not a straight line, because as most people probably know, or they're figuring this out now talking to them, that I've never been a head coach before. I was not coaching gymnastics. I was in the business world. So I'll give you the condensed version. Basically, gymnastics has been the foundation of my entire life. From the time I was 6 years old, I developed through the sport, progressed fairly quickly at the club level, at the elite level. I was on USA national team, represented the country in international competition. I think the highlight of my elite career was the fact that I was part of USA's 2001 bronze medal world championship team. And I was ranked 8th in the world on vault that year. Fast forward, ended up going to Alabama for college, had lots of success and really learned what a really good college experience was like there. Got my degree in advertising and ended up in the car business when I graduated, actually. And that was just through a random conversation that the dealer had with the head coach, because they were involved in the university with some sponsorships and things like that. So I ended up working at a Toyota dealership in Tuscaloosa, where I graduated from and worked my way up very quickly in that business as a finance manager. And then I went to the other side, worked for JPMorgan Chase as a bank rep, where I was a road warrior. I had a territory of retailers throughout the Southeast that I, managed, all while still staying connected to the sport of gymnastics, while commentating, doing choreography. This is a really long-winded answer. I said I was going to be short, but like I said, it's not a straight path at all. Fast forward to before I got here, good job, nice stability, my husband and I, we thought we were going to have kids. That didn't happen. I talked about this publicly, so and a lot of people experience this, the infertility, and so went through all the treatments and realized that wasn't going to be my contribution, right? I wasn't going to be a mom. So I'm like, you know what, that's fine. Take the time to work through that. And then decided what have I always been passionate about? If it's not going to be that, if I'm not going to be a mom, and it's always been gymnastics. So I started putting it out there, making connections, and had some help, and was connected eventually with Iowa State when they were looking for something very specific, and I think I fit into that box of what they needed, and here I am.
Yeah. I think your experience really speaks to that student experience too, right? You're a student athlete for a period of time, and so many people go through that phase of, well, what's next, right? And gymnastics, like you said, you were always involved with it in a capacity, but to be able to go out into the work world, have a full-time job, but still be connected to it, I think that's a good example for your student athletes here to say, hey, you can go and you can have a job, and you can still be involved and passionate in the things that you love and still come back to it. It's never going to leave, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, gymnastics is such a good sport at its foundation for young women. It just builds character, discipline, shows you how to work hard, how to set goals, how to lose, how to win. Yeah. And just had to keep pushing, and that basically carried me. That experience carried me throughout my entire professional career, and to get to share some of that knowledge in little bits and pieces every day while they're going through their transition to college, gymnastics, and just whatever comes next after this is kind of fun, and it's a great opportunity and a blessing.
So like you said, after you graduated from Alabama, you were still somewhat involved with the sport, doing commentating, announcing, coaching, I know, doing a little bit of training with some young athletes. Tell us about how that opportunity at Iowa State came about. Obviously, you were on TV, you were doing things, you were in the public eye, but tell us about how that opportunity arose to come here to Iowa State.
Yeah, I think really I told the right person that I wanted to do it, and that was Val Condos. Miss Valerie Condos, historic UCLA, head coach for many years, highly successful, amazing choreography, amazing individual, just so successful, a great mentor with so much experience. And I ran into her at Nationals when I was there with ESPN commentating. And we had some conversations, and she basically was like, okay, you want to do this? I have some ideas. And she, with her connections as well, just kind of really helped me put my name out there. I had some interviews, had some opportunities. They didn't all pan out. And then I got a call from her about Iowa State. And I was like, oh, absolutely, I'll talk to them. And from my first conversation, it was pedal to the metal, we are doing this. It moved very, very fast. Again, it was just a very unique opportunity, a perfect example I can tell my student athletes of being prepared for the moment.
So stepping into a program as never being a head coach before, what kind of challenges, what kind of obstacles, and what kind of vision did you bring to Iowa State when you came here to really sell them on this? You could turn this program into a successful program like you did in year one?
Yeah, I think it was an interesting situation to walk into where you have a long tenured coach. The previous staff, I think, were here for almost 20 years. Yeah. So that's a pretty big deal and a big shift for those student athletes. So, one of the main goals I had was really just to get them acclimated and let them get to know me and who I am as an individual and as a person, and really start to hone in and building those relationships. And so there was a lot of talk and a lot of communication and a lot of conversations had about what their experience had been like. What did you like? What didn't you like? What would you like to see more of, right? A lot of the things that are normal life things in any type of job, career, leadership position that you have to know kind of where you work, what you're working with, who you're working with, and you have to be able to meet them where they're at. So, obviously the goal was to elevate, right? To build their confidence. I think that was the one thing that I have in droves. I'm not going to lie. I am a confident person. But just to build them up, to let them know that you can do hard things, you can accomplish these things, and give them a pathway and a set of standards. That was the biggest change we made. We set what our standards were going to be, and we're going to live to those. We're going to build this great culture where we support each other, where we work hard, where we set goals. It's not a straight path, right? There's always going to be challenges and things, but you check in and you get it done.
Yeah. One of the unique things I'm sure that you're experiencing here in Ames, Iowa is that your gymnasts and these student athletes can really focus on school and their performance, right? There's not a lot of outside distractions here at Ames, Iowa, right? How have you been able to embrace that? You know, obviously coming from Alabama, competing there, maybe a little different climate, weather, and physical surroundings. But how have you been able to embrace that? And you get gymnasts from all over the world, right? And I'm sure there's times where they get homesick and experience those feelings. So how have you been able to kind of handle the personal side with your athletes and building those connections too?
Yeah, I mean, and that's where that life experience, I think, for sure comes into play in like a huge way because of all those things that you're saying, and because I've experienced everything that they're going through firsthand in my collegiate career and my career before going to college, like just as an adult, right, in the world, like working and career. I'm able to draw from a lot of that to help them maybe like change their perspective on like maybe how they approach something or how they look at something. So just there's so many things at Iowa State, the university too, within the athletic department. Like they have really good resources for these student athletes as well. I mean, it's kind of one of those conversations that we have with them a lot of time is like, look, you kind of have to try to fail here really, because like anything you need, you can get. And I think that's such a positive tool for them to be able to like dip into and to have, and even though they're still transitioning into having the pink slip on their own life, that's a car reference there, right? They still are kind of protected in this little bubble. Yeah. So it kind of gives them that leeway to make mistakes and to shift their thinking, maybe make different decisions based on X, Y, Z, whatever. Yeah. So they have what they need.
So as we speak to our alumni and friends of Iowa State today, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that are maybe thinking about a new career or wanting a change in their career. So for somebody that's gone through it, that's experienced it, what kind of advice would you give to somebody that they just need to take that leap, that next step, and take on that new challenge? Yeah, well, first off, I would say it is a challenge. I think you have to look at it for what it is. I mean, it can almost feel like jumping off a cliff. I mean, and it's fearful because you don't know what's next. I've never done this before, and I think it's natural to have reservations, but I think ultimately you have to have a certain self-awareness about yourself, and you have to know where your strengths are, like why you think you would be good in that dream job. Like, what are the things that you bring to the table? And I think on the other side of that, you also have to be honest about the things and areas where you can get better and you can grow. You can't be afraid of the word no, right? I mean, that's only for a moment. I think you have to keep pushing and go after what you want in the most confident, self-aware way that you can, and just do it. Because, I mean, your life, even in the pursuit of it, will be so much better. And when it happens, it'll be like a dream. So your team is about to get things started with the 2025 season coming up in January. Tell us a little bit about your team, your athletes, and what you expect from them this season. Yeah, our team is really exciting. I think that we have a lot of experienced leadership on this team that is going to pull everybody along like in the right direction. Like, we have a really good culture that we've built, and they're committed to that because last year there were so many things that we changed, and they want to keep that going because they got a taste of like what the hard work that we put in the preseason, it pays off. So I think that Cyclone fans and our alumni can expect to be proud of like what we're doing and how we're representing Iowa State. I really feel like we'll continue our trajectory in the right direction. Will be exciting to come out and watch. So like, obviously we want their support. We want butts in the seat. We want you to invite people to come, to Hilton to experience this team. I mean, we have a fifth-year returner that decided to come back for a fifth year. Josie Bergstrom, Tesla now. She got married over the summer. So she's one of our senior leaders as well, who's looking to do more events. She competed 2 last year. She might do 3 or 4. So there's a lot of passion like in our team and a lot of really, really talented freshmen as well that they can expect to be excited about. And you'll bet you guys are excited to get back home. You guys, fun events this year. You'll have quite a few home dates. When is your first home meet at Hilton Coliseum? First home meet is January 10th, and it's versus Brown University in Iowa. So it's a tri-meet, so There's 3 teams. Anytime you say Iowa, we will be competing against them twice this year. Okay. So they have a brand new head coach this year as well.
So like, yeah, that's definitely one of our goals is to beat Iowa twice this year.
And I know you guys are excited for the Beauty and the Beast returns this year, where you'll have the wrestling and gymnastics combo on the floor at Hilton going on at the same time. But you haven't experienced that yet, so.
I haven't. And that's all anybody, when I first got hired and I went to the Iowa State Fair, to the university's booth, when people were like, what do you guys have in the Beauty and the Beast again? That's all they wanted to know. So I know fans are super excited about it. We have an amazing, obviously, like wrestling program here that, you know, people support and get behind, and, you know, they lead in attendance in the country. Like, they're, you know, one of the top programs. So it's going to be another good experience for our team, like to just get out in Hilton at home. Sensory overload for the fans, I think, but I think it'll be fun.
Well, Coach, I know I'm like a novice in gymnastics. I know the bare minimum. And I know I've watched the Olympics, I've seen it on TV. Could you just walk me around and show me all the different events that your gymnasts compete in?
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. So in gymnastics, there's 4 events that you compete in, and the first one is vault, right?
Yep, so vault. So there's an Olympic order for gymnastics. Like, the home team is always usually going to go vault, then the uneven bars, and the balance beam, and the floor exercise. So this thing right here is the vault. This is one of the most exciting events, I think, and this is also one of the ones that I was very successful at. So love the vault. Like, they basically are going to truck it down the runway. Your Chinko vault is what you'll see a lot, where they put their hands on the mat here. They'll flip onto the board. They'll catapult off the board, hit the horse, hopefully at a good angle, and then they'll fly off. And of course, the landing is always the most important thing, that you want to show that you did it, and you want to have good amplitude, you want to have good position in the air, you want to land in the right direction. If you take a step, sticks are always better. But yeah, so this is the vault. I think this will be a really good event for our team this year. We have a freshman, Haley Harden, actually that'll be joining us, that does a very, very difficult vault, where she does a round off onto the board, a half turn onto the horse, and a front pike. And this kid, she is amazing on the event. It's definitely going to be a highlight. She's somebody that can score perfect 10s as a freshman for sure.
All right, so you go from the vault to the uneven bars.
Yep. So bars is what's going to be next. Like, this is another one of those nerve-wracking events, I think, for a lot of fans, just because they look pretty interesting, right? They're uneven, parallel bars. You got the low bar, the high bar, the landing, you know, mat down there, and you'll see athletes on this event really just kind of get after it. They have certain skills and things that they have to do, and what you want to look for here usually is like really good straight position when they do handstands. Really big high flying release moves. You'll see some of the athletes go from low to high and then immediately back down to the low and transition back to the high. So it's really an exciting event, and this is another event that we'll see some much improved performances, I think. This is an event that we struggled with a little bit last year. I mean, we got there, I think, in the end, but we have a lot more bar workers this year, which is always a good thing. So I think we'll do better here this year at Iowa State.
So Coach, there's a historic, obviously, women's and men's gymnastics program that came through Iowa State, and I know you've done some nice outreach and engagement with our gymnastics alumni, right?
Yeah, they're amazing. I mean, Iowa State is a storied program, especially like the men's program. They've won countless national championships. They have lots of individual champions. I think they have probably more people in the Iowa State Athletics Hall of Fame than anybody. Like, Coach Gagne is amazing, and there's still several of them that are local. And I think every Tuesday, from what I understand, you can find them over at Culver's, like meeting, for lunch. But yeah, our alumni are amazing. In fact, this year at our alumni meet, we're going to be honoring the 25th anniversary of the first Big 12 championship team for women here at Iowa State back in 2000. So that's going to be quite the celebration. They'll get recognized on the floor. That's on February 21st. So definitely don't want to miss it.
So we move from the bars to the beam.
Yeah, to the beam. So yeah, the balance beam is by far the most nerve-wracking. I said bars was kind of, but this is the one that kind of gets everybody on edge. As you can see, it's only 4 inches wide. Yeah. There is no room for error. Yeah. So like, you have to love beam to be good at it. And in college, and this is actually the one event that Iowa State is going to shine at. The coach on beam is Haley Young. I think one of the best improvements we've made from last season to this season is the beam dance and presentation and choreography is so good this year. So this is an event that's not easy to make a lineup because we have 16 athletes on our team, but only 6 compete on each event. So like they have to fight and compete to get one of those 6 spots on every event. So beam is going to be a fun one this year.
All right, so we did the vault, we went to the uneven bars, the beam, and now the floor.
Now the floor exercise, and if you've never been on one of these, like the first thing people usually do is just like what you did just there, right? They just want to fill it out and see, and they're like, oh, it's like, you know, kind of, it's a lot bouncier than I thought. It is bouncy, but you have to have technique to tumble and get those high ups and do all the flips that you see on floor exercise. And you know, for the sport of college gymnastics at home, this event right here is where it's at. This is one of the most fun events to compete because you really get to see the personalities, right, of all the athletes. You know, we allow them here to have input and kind of pick their music. So this year I did a lot of the choreography for some of the routines. Haley Young did some of the choreography for floor as well. And so this will be really fun to see our team compete. And again, we have like several athletes on this event. Like I think we'll see Josie Bergstrom-Tesla compete, which she didn't compete floor last year. We have an amazing, powerful freshman, Haley Harden, who I told you guys about on vault, who can score perfect 10s. She can do that here. And then like breakout athlete last year, Noelle Adams, who is a sophomore this year, has a new routine, and like she's always a crowd favorite. So I would really be looking out for her, you know, to perform. So yeah, floor is going to be a good event for us, and especially at home. I think the fans will love what they see. Nice.
Well, Coach, thank you so much for showing us all the different events, and good luck this season. Again, you guys get started at home at Hilton Coliseum January 10th. Don't forget, it's Iowa. We'll be here.
That's right. Iowa will be here, so you need to show up. The students will be on winter break, so good opportunity for families, for you to invite people to come out and support, you know, Cyclone Gym. Let's go.
Iowa State head gymnastics coach Ashley Miles Greig, thank you so much for spending the time with our alumni today.